Hello, everyone. It's Victor speaking. And I know I have disappeared a little bit. I had some surgeries going on and I needed a little bit of personal time. But I'm back and I'm going to be producing some type of educational videos. So I hope you guys will enjoy them. So what I was thinking to speak about today, which I think you can't really find material about, is some of the planetary cycles. And they're going to be quite important for us because they can actually determine some of your motives in the chart. By the way, I'm going to be holding a Horary class, which is going to be 16 weeks. And we're going to start from the beginning. And then within 4 months, 4 to 5 months, you should be able to be comfortable to be judging a chart and being able to answer specific questions. Horary is extremely good for questions like, for instance, where are my keys? Or is this person cheating on me? Or which job shall I choose? What team will win the tournament, and so forth. So the more specific the question is, the more specific Horary astrology can become. And this is an ancient type of technique, and they were very good at it. So if they didn't really give the right answer, then yes, it was a little bit of a trouble for the astrologer. So definitely it's something worth taking. And also I'm offering an installment plan as well. If you wish to participate, then drop me a message, an email, and then we can discuss the details, but it is also available on my website as well. And on top of that, we will be able to provide you a certificate as well. So I'm quite excited about this course. You can become a professional Horary astrologer. Okay, so but today I wanted to talk to you about Venus and Mars cycle. You can actually pair up any of the planets. So for instance, if you want to be looking at your ambition cycles, you might want to be looking at Saturn and Jupiter cycles. If you want to be looking at your love life, you might want to be looking at Venus and Mars cycle. Venus is all about the feminine energy. Mars is all about that masculine energy. So those two together is always forming a type of a relationship, even though in astrology they are natural enemies. And the reason why they are enemies is because let's say Venus rules Libra and the opposite sign is Aries. So the Venus and the Mars ruled territories are always opposing each other. But opposition in astrology is all about overcoming something. It is all about appreciating that we are completely different. We have got different needs. And this is exactly what a relationship is all about, right? Now, when you're going to be calculating planetary cycles, you always get the faster moving planet. So out of these two, Venus is actually the faster one. So, and then you're going to want to have a look at, compared to Mars, where Venus is in the chart. Now, you might have heard about the moon phases, right? So we're going to be differentiating 8 types of phases. And phase 1 is going to be when Venus is 0 to 45 degrees ahead of Mars. Now, imagine that you've got, let's say, Mars on 15 degrees of Pisces, and then you've got Venus on 15 degrees of Aries. So then the distance between the two planets is going to be 30 degrees. It means that you were born in a new phase of the Venus and the Mars cycle. And each of the phases are going to be describing different type of qualities to you. Now, Venus and Mars together pretty much talks about sexuality, relationship, and it is extremely good, for instance, when you want to be doing synastry, to compare the two phases with each other, because you're going to be able to see whether we've got something in common, or we are two completely different people, at least when it comes to the sexual encounter part of the relationship. So let's see phase one. So as I said, that's going to be the case when Venus is 0 to 45 degrees ahead of Mars. And this is something which creates a kind of innocence around the person. The person can be sometimes a little bit naive. They can have very strong sexual charisma, and sometimes it is not even recognized by the native. So it could indicate, for instance, that you are attracting people because of your sexual energies quite a lot. It gives quite an erotic and romantic patterns for the native. It is all about learning your sexual confidence. Ideally, that's what the Venus and the Mars new phase is going to be indicating. I would also say, when we talk about these phases, that it's something like, for instance, the aspects, but you are not always going to be seeing, let's say, Venus and Mars in aspect to each other. It doesn't mean that they are not talking to, talking to one to another, because there is a phase getting created between them. And this is where progression is coming into the picture. At one point, they are going to be meeting, because Venus is a little bit faster moving planet than Mars. So Mars moves approximately half a degree a year. Venus can move up to 1.12 degree a year. It depends, of course, correlating to how close it is to the sun or how far away it is from the sun. I mean, I'm talking about the speed, how fastly they move in the sky. So I would be looking at these phases, and then I would be checking in progression what exactly happens there, and that might be also giving you some type of indication of what is going on in your relationship. So phase 2 is going to be when Venus is 45 to 90 degrees ahead of Mars. And this is all about emerging your sexual identity. It is all about learning that confidence, that sexual confidence within you. Usually these people have got a very charming and engaging type of personality, and people can be extremely fascinated by them. Now, one of the little problem here is that it could also indicate some type of difficulties, as being able to see your partner in like 3 dimensions. Also, these people somehow need a little bit of an exploration in their sexuality. It is all about finding themselves. When it comes to phase 3, which is going to be Venus being ahead of Mars by 90 or 135 degrees. Now, this is the phase where there is going to be a square forming between the Mars and Venus, right? And squares are all about tension, drama, something to fix. It talks about clashes between 2 people. So this phase could talk about some type of sexual drama. It could talk about commitment matters. It is all about, at one point, facing your sexual behavior or experiences. What type of choices you make, what type of actions you take in your life. This phase is going to be about learning how to become more serious in relationship. It is all about, actually, it might indicate that you tend to be attracting some type of troubled relationships, or relationship which provide some type of challenges to you. For instance, there could be a physical distance going on between two people. It could indicate some type of scandalous relationship, or people are talking about who you are with. So in a way, you have to pay a price of love. And the question you're going to have to ask yourself is how badly you want that relationship to be working. Now, in progression, this could be an indication of some type of distance getting created with your partner. And definitely this is the phase because of that square quality that the relationship needs to be fixed. It might need a kind of a renewal. Now, phase 4 is going to be when Venus is ahead of Mars by 135 to 180 degrees. And so this is just one before actually that opposition phase. So this is going to be about enthusiasm. This is going to be about when you are very fascinated by others. This is a very highly romantic phase. This is what I would call it as the big love stories, you know, a very soulful connection to others. But also there is this little element to it that like the bee goes from flower to flower. So unfortunately, it might be the case as well that the person becomes extremely adventurous about their sexual interest. There is a real hunger going on for like spiritual fulfillment through the relationship. So it's like, because it's just before the full phase, like just like the full moon, really, which is going to be talking about visibility and going to be talking about the spotlight is getting on the relationship. So exactly the same here. The person is really much waiting for a spiritual awakening through a relationship. So for instance, if you were born in this phase, and then this phase becomes a full phase by progression, actually it might be indication of a divorce or a marriage. So it's definitely worth having a look at what is happening there. These natives tend to be asking quite a lot as well from their partners. There is this sexual compulsiveness going on within themselves. Now, phase 5 is going to be when Venus is ahead of Mars by 180 to 225 degrees. So this is exactly that type of full moon phase. So we're talking about commitment. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about going all the way, wanting to experience how it is when the two energies are uniting. But, you know, Venus and Mars are in opposition to each other. So this could actually really talk about initial hardship within the relationship because the two energies are clashing. And it could actually indicate that the two people need to learn each other's qualities and accepting each other the way they are. Unfortunately, this is the phase where people tend to be staying together for the sake of the children as well. And sometimes, or I would say this type of natives need to learn to accept reality. You know, if there is no emotional connection anymore, they tend to be suffering a little bit. So this is the type of situation when I want to go, but I can't leave type of energy which could be going on. Now, phase 6 is when Venus is ahead of Mars by 225 to 270 degrees. And this is actually the phase where we learned and then we share them with others. So typically, this is when a native is already quite having like mature perspectives about the relationship. Or in sexuality, they don't want to make the same mistake. I would love to go back actually for a second to the full phase, the previous one, just because we said that the new phase was an innocent, childlike energy. The full phase is actually the opposite, right? So that's going to be talking about like growing up, maturity. So that's why the commitment part is a lot stronger here. Now, in this phase 6, you've already learned that, how to commit to a partner. And then it's all about learning to accept and appreciate that things can't be perfect all the time. It is all about experiencing how it is to have a marriage. So it is experiencing how to settle down, how to have or how to raise children, how to balance life, for instance, a marriage life with your professional life. This could really indicate some type of creativity within the couple. By the way, this is a teaching phase as well. So it is all about showing others, showing, for instance, a role model type of energy to others, how the relationship is looking like. These couples usually like being in the community as well. It is all about, yes, they might be having some type of conflicts going on, but after the conflicts, they are able to break in bread together. Then we've got phase 7, which is about Venus being ahead of Mars by 272 to 315 degrees. And now, again, basically, this is going to be about some type of square between the two planets. But it's a little bit different than the previous one, because remember that when we talked about phase 3, which was a square, basically what happened there was that we said it's kind of sexual drama and some type of clashes when it comes to commitment. Now, this is kind of an improved type of version, but I would say that the difference between these two is that phase 3 tends to be projecting their energy onto others. So let's say I'm trying to find someone to blame for whatever is happening in my life. So I'm going to be blaming my work, I'm going to be blaming my, I don't know, my parents. But when we talk about phase 7, which is again a square, just a different type of square, actually it is going to be talking about internally you blaming yourself, and then you trying to find you know, how you can help the relationship, what can you do in a different way. Therefore, these people can be quite forgiving, quite accepting. It is all about learning not to judge others. And of course, in return, you don't want to be judged either. This is the phase usually when people are genuinely selfless in love. They tend to be quite people pleaser in that sense. They tend to be sacrificing themselves in the relationship. And when they see that it's not working, actually they might resign from it. So at the end of the day, this is still a square, and unfortunately, it could show that the person might be experiencing divorce once in their life. I would say squares can be turned around. So the whole idea here is that they should be able to fix the tension between the two people, right? And this is what square is about: tension. Something to fix, something to overcome. Square is actually a Marsian energy, right? And then last but not least, we've got the balsamic phase of Venus and Mars. So this is going to be phase 8. And by the way, I do have got that one myself as well. Now, actually, this phase is all about Venus being ahead of Mars by 315 to 360 degrees. And the balsamic phase is this mystical energy. So that's kind of a dreamy type of state. So it's all about sacred sex. These type of people tend to be falling in love with their sex partners or with their partners quite quickly. This is acting like a 12th house energy. So it's going to be something like karmic experiencing. I've known this person for such a long time, and you know, you might have just met the person, but it feels like you've known the person. It's like trying to finish some type of karmic adventure between the two of you. It could also become a very spiritual relationship. It could give some platonic type of flavor to the person. So it's all about, you know, if you think about what 12 houses, it's all about completing the cycle. So you might feel that you are back here to complete something with this person. But completing the cycle means that sometimes you have to revisit the past as well. So these people tend to be living in the past a little bit. And they might be experiencing some type of endings in their life. They could be sometimes quite lonely or even depressed because they don't find their loved one that easily. It could actually bring that type of tragic romance, you know, when you, oh, I clearly remember, I mean, I can even bring up my chart, I guess, and then I might be able to show you. But you know, it could actually feel like, you know, that you've done everything for this person, and then you actually not getting what you wanted out of the energy. So yes, I think what they need to learn here, I mean, this phase need to learn is not to become too clingy to start with, and trying to be staying real when it comes to the relationship, because they tend to be like creating some fantasies for themselves, and that's extremely important not to. Okay, so that would be my recommendation here. So I'm just going to show you just an example here of how you can work with it. So here you go. So here is my chart, and I had my Venus and Venus and Mars conjunction happening actually in 1995. So that's and you can see that actually I was born with a balsamic phase because the Venus being behind Mars. And then eventually within 12 or 13 years, 12 years actually. So when I was 12 years old, I had a progressed Venus and Mars conjunction going on in my chart. So you can see that Venus is on 25 and the Mars is on 25 degree as well. Now, if I start going forward, let's say if I want to be looking at where those two are at the moment, so I'm going to go on 2020, you can see that Venus has been already ahead of Mars, so I'm definitely in a new phase of those two energy. Mars is on 14 degree, Venus is on 25. So, but this is not just the way how you can work with progression. I mean, you can also, because that's going to be lasting for quite a long time, you know, so you can look at exactly the same way by transits as well. So Venus and Mars are going to be kind of connecting with each other approximately every 2.5 years. And there are some interesting facts about this phase. Actually, every 77 months, Venus and Mars, when they are meeting, Venus is going to be retrograde. And every time when Venus and Mars, when it happens, actually it happens 3 times. And the middle phase is usually one which is a retrograde for the Venus. And then the other two when Venus is already in direct motion. So this cycle is going to be repeating themselves every 77 months. So what you can do is you can pull up your transit chart. You can have a look at when Venus and Mars are connecting with each other, and then you can follow what happens in your sexuality or what happens in your relationship in the next 2.5 years, and then you can look at the phases. Usually these phases are important when another planet is involved, especially one of those big boys. So Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, or Uranus, even Chiron also. Okay, so that could be giving you some type of information of what challenges you're going to be facing in your relationships, or what type of actually, where the relationship is headed, basically. Of course, the house position is going to be extremely important. So the information I shared today was just to show you how to read these phases, and then it might be giving you additional information about your own needs. So have a look at your natal chart. You can compare that with your partner's chart, and then it might show if there is any compatibility going on between the two of you. So I hope you enjoyed this short video about Venus and Mars cycle. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye-bye.